The story begins with Katya Afanina, a 20-year-old living a humble life in a quiet Russian town. She shares a small home with her only remaining family, her grandfather Ivan, a respected World War II veteran. Their days are simple, peaceful, and filled with mutual care and routine. But not far from their home, trouble often brewed. In a nearby neighborhood lives a reckless trio of young men known for their arrogance and wild Wednesday night parties. Every week, they drink heavily, play loud music, and bring in paid company for their entertainment. However, this particular Wednesday night turns out differently. The boys struggle to find a girl willing to join their chaos. By chance, Katya happens to walk past their building that evening. One of the boys, Vadim, recognizes her from school, and his friends quickly push him to talk to her. Reluctantly, Vadim approaches her with another friend named Igor, and they start making conversation. They invite her upstairs, claiming it's their friend's birthday. At first, Katya hesitates, tries to refuse politely, but after continuous pleading and false promises that it will just be a short visit, she agrees. Once inside, the atmosphere immediately feels wrong. Empty bottles are scattered across the table, and the boys keep pushing her to drink with them. They remind her how she used to sing beautifully back in school, and to keep things calm, Katya agrees to sing a song for the supposed birthday boy. What she doesn't know is that Boris, the ringleader of the group, has secretly slipped something into her drink. Soon, Katya starts feeling dizzy. Her vision blurs, her head feels heavy, and she tries to stand up to leave. But before she can reach the door, the drug begins to take effect. The boys grab her and lead her to another room. In her weakened state, Katya tries to resist, but the three of them overpower her. What follows is a horrifying and violent act that leaves her broken and terrified. Hours later, they finally let her go, shoving money into her purse as if to buy her silence. Humiliated, she throws the money away and walks home through the dark street, trembling and silent. Meanwhile, back in the apartment, Vadim begins to panic. Fear and guilt creep in as he realizes the gravity of what they've done. But Boris and Igor remain confident that Vadim's father, Colonel Nikolai, a powerful police officer, will protect them from any consequence. They believe they are untouchable. When Katya reaches home, she collapses in tears. Her grandfather immediately senses something terrible has happened. Seeing the bruises on her body, Ivan's anger explodes. Demanding to know who hurt her, he listens as Katya names the boys. Filled with rage, he grabs his coat and storms out, ready to confront them himself. A concerned neighbor stops him and pleads with him to call the police instead of taking revenge. Ivan hesitates, but finally agrees. Within hours, officers arrive at the boys' apartment, arresting all three suspects. The lead inspector personally takes charge of the case. During the interrogation, the boys first deny everything, but the inspector separates them and applies pressure. He warns them about the consequences they'll face if they don't confess. Eventually, their arrogance cracks. Boris confesses that they lured Katya to the apartment and forced themselves on her. Just when it seems justice might be served, Colonel Nikolai, Vadim's father, storms into the station. Using his rank, he demands that the boys be released into his custody so he can handle the matter privately, but the inspector refuses. He explains that there's already enough evidence, including a blood-stained sheet recovered from the apartment, to prove Katya's account. When Nikolai insists again, the inspector tells him to bring a written order. At that moment, another officer walks in, reporting that several neighbors have confirmed the boys' weekly parties and their history of harassing women. Faced with so much evidence, Nikolai reluctantly retreats, though it's clear he's not done fighting. The next morning, Ivan wakes up to find Katya missing. Searching the house, he finds her in the bathroom, sobbing. She tells him she can't bear to see her reflection anymore. Heartbroken, Ivan suggests calling their family doctor, but Katya refuses. She doesn't want anyone else to know what happened. Even tells her that the entire neighborhood already knows. The police activity last night made sure of that. Devastated, Katya breaks down again, fearing her reputation will never recover. The doctor visits and confirms that while Katya's physical injuries will heal, her emotional scars will take much longer. Later that day, Ivan receives shocking news. The boys have been released. Nikolai has used his power to free them. Though in rage, Ivan remains composed. Determined to fight for justice, he takes Katya to the police station to file a formal complaint and push the case to court. But when they arrive, their hope is shattered. The officer in charge turns out to be one of Nikolai's men, corrupt and heartless. He mocks Katya's story, accusing her of seducing the boys and trying to trap one into marriage. Humiliated and broken, Katya loses faith in the system completely. She tells her grandfather she no longer wants to fight and only wishes to forget everything. Ivan refuses to give up. The next day, he spots the boys sitting in a car nearby, laughing as if nothing happened. Calmly, Ivan walks toward the boys in the parked car. He simply tells them, "I've memorized your faces," before turning away. The boys, still arrogant, laugh it off, but Ivan's silence carries a weight they fail to understand. Disillusioned by a corrupt system that protects the guilty, Ivan visits an old friend, a judge, hoping for support. Instead of sympathy, the judge coldly blames Katya, accusing her of immoral behavior. Furious and disgusted, Ivan leaves the office, realizing that justice will never come from the system. From that moment, he decides to take matters into his own hands. Determined to act, Ivan sells his seasonal property to fund what's to come. Later that day, he returns home to find Katya's estranged mother back from Turkey with her new boyfriend. She brings gifts and fake smiles, pretending to care about her daughter's suffering. But later that evening, her mask slips. She privately asks Ivan for money, exposing her true intentions. Sensing her manipulation, Ivan confronts her. She shamelessly admits she returned only to profit from the situation, even threatening to approach Nikolai for money instead. That's the final straw. Enraged, Ivan throws her belongings outside and forbids her from ever stepping foot in their home again. The next morning, Ivan visits the local park where his old friends are playing chess. As he observes them quietly, he spots the three boys entering their apartment across the street. Without a word, he slips away and heads to Katya's aunt's apartment, which conveniently overlooks the boys' living room. From that vantage point, Ivan prepares for justice. Setting up his high-powered sniper rifle, he takes aim at his first target, Boris. With calm precision, Ivan exhales slowly and squeezes the trigger. The bullet hits Boris directly in the groin, leaving him permanently crippled. Ivan quickly hides the weapon, wipes away any trace, and returns to the park to rejoin his friends as though nothing happened. Moments later, chaos erupts. Boris is rushed to the hospital by his terrified friend. At the same time, Colonel Nikolai questions Vadim and Igor, suspecting carelessness with their own weapon. They swear they were just talking when the shot was fired. Realizing this was no accident, Nikolai begins to fear that someone, perhaps the victim's family, is targeting them. Meanwhile, the police inspector starts to piece things together. He suspects Ivan may have taken justice into his own hand. When he visits Ivan, he warns him that Nikolai won't stop until someone pays the price. Ivan listens silently, saying nothing, but his eyes reveal that his decision is final. A few days later, Ivan returns to his hidden post in Katya's aunt's apartment. His next target is Igor, who's sitting relaxed inside his car, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Ivan steadies his rifle, aims at the gas tank, and fires. The car erupts in flames. Igor barely escapes, but his lower body is severely burned. Doctors later confirm that he'll never walk again. Nikolai realizes the attacks follow a pattern. He warns his son, Vadim, to be extremely careful and fortifies the house with guards and reinforced doors. Vadim's growing fear turns into paranoia. Every creak, every noise makes him believe Ivan is near. The inspector visits Katya's home again, hoping to speak with Ivan. He learns from Katya that her grandfather often visits her aunt's apartment to feed the bird. The comment sparks suspicion. The inspector quietly takes the keys and decides to investigate. Around the same time, Nikolai arrives at Ivan's house with a search warrant and a team of officers. They search every corner, expecting to find the weapon used in the attacks. But the house is spotless. Katya's aunt shows up, asking for her apartment keys back. Seeing an opportunity, Nikolai orders his men to search her place as well. Ivan, realizing his weapon is hidden there, grows tense. But when the officers finish searching, they find nothing. Unknown to everyone, the rifle has already been moved. With no evidence left, Nikolai confronts Ivan directly, his tone no longer that of a proud officer, but of a desperate father. He pleads with Ivan to spare his son's life. Ivan looks him straight in the eyes and says coldly, "It's already done." Panicking, Nikolai rushes home and bangs on Vadim's door. Inside, Vadim, trembling and consumed by fear, mistakes his father's voice for Ivan. In a blind panic, he fires through the door. The bullet hits Nikolai, killing him instantly. Realizing what he's done, Vadim collapses, screaming in shock and horror before losing his sanity completely. Doctors later declare that he suffered a total mental breakdown with almost no hope of recovery. Sometime later, the inspector invites Ivan to his home. In a revealing conversation, he admits that he found and confiscated the sniper rifle before the other officers could. Rather than turning Ivan in, he chose to stay silent. He tells Ivan he understands that after seeing the system fail so many times, he believes justice was finally delivered, even if not by the law. In the final scene, Ivan returns home. Through the door, he hears the soft sound of Katya playing her guitar for the first time in months. The melody is gentle, filled with emotion. Ivan stops and listens quietly, tears in his eyes. Though her pain hasn't disappeared, the sound of her music marks the beginning of healing, a sign that peace has finally returned after a storm. And that's the story of Voroshilov Strelok. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more movie recaps. Thank you for watching.